Good afternoon. It is a chilly afternoon here in Nairobi. My name is Boni Tunya and this is indeed news as it happens.
And my name is Edith Kimani. This is what we prepared for you this afternoon. Digital migration. Media owners in court challenging the digital migration exercise.
And the county development report is out on county resources, with Nairobi leading and Turkana at the bottom.
Also, a walking county. Nyeri residents walk to work after officers impound rogue PSV operators. Lady Justice Mumbi Ngugi has enjoined COFEC and West Media in the petition challenging digital migration.
Now, through the three media houses have filed an urgent court petition against the Communications Commission of Kenya, challenging the organization for granting of exclusive rights to local pay channels to oversee the digital migration process.
The three media organizations, Nation Media Group, the Standard Media Group and Royal Media Services, claim in their petition that they were discriminated against by being locked out of the migration process despite attracting more than 85% of television viewership locally.
Now, the CCK had set the digital migration deadline on December the 13th, 2013. However, with the hearing set for December 6th, this deadline could be affected. Now, a section of media stakeholders want the digital migration to take place around June next year.
Let's take you to Nyeri now, where commuters in that county were this morning stranded for hours after many could not find public transportation to their workplaces. The crackdown that began yesterday has so far netted 22 PSV vehicles, with authorities saying the exercise will continue throughout the festive season. Now, this comes in the wake of increased road accidents countrywide. Over 40 people have lost their lives in road accidents in Nyeri in just the last 3 months.
An intense crackdown on rogue drivers and non-compliant public service vehicles plying the routes in Nyeri conducted this morning led to many commuters forced to walk to work as vehicles found to be defective were taken off the roads. Scores of residents could be spotted walking to work in Nyeri town from their homes. The crackdown was not without its fair share of drama, as the driver of this particular matatu took off when traffic police officers waylaid him in Rorengo. The driver sped off, abandoning the matatu that was later towed to the Nyeri Central Police Station. Stephen Mosau, the Kenya National Road Safety Authority, said 22 vehicles have been nabbed since yesterday, and the crackdown will be carried out throughout the festive season.
Many of them have no speeding governors, others have been tampered with, others have secret switches, others have worn out tires.
Nyeri-based Commandant Ruben Bed said smaller vehicles that operate as public vehicles, popularly referred to in Nyeri as Shorio, have been taken off the road until when they are road compliant.
The problem is that they never had a yellow line, they never had BSV insurances, they never had inspection stickers. That is why they were forced to be off the road.
The crackdown is conducted against the backdrop of increased road carnage in the country. In the last 3 months, 20 PSV drivers, 9 pedestrians and 15 motorcycle drivers have died as a result of road accidents in Nyeri.
This is a joint operation from the National Transport and Safety Authority, the Kenya Revenue Authority, the Motor Vehicle Inspection Unit, the Prisons Department, the Kenya Police, and also the judiciary. So we are joining hands together.
Pedestrians have also been asked to exercise caution while using the roads. The officers have cited speeding as the major cause of accidents.
Anytime you are driven in a motor vehicle, you fasten your seatbelt belt. Make sure that that vehicle is driven in the right manner. You have the authority to tell the driver not to overspeed.
Carol Derry for KTN in Nyeri County.
The Senate committee in charge of devolution is calling for the review of the formula used to share revenue in 47 counties. Speaking during a tour of Kiambu County, the senators, through their chairman, James Orengo, said the counties are unable to discharge their mandate due to shortage of funds. They say that the allocation of funds across the counties is not equitable and that most of the share counties get is used to cover expenditures with only little left for development purposes.
We want the entire management of public finance in relation to counties to be reviewed so that resources are available at the right time for the counties to do their work.
What we are imagining is they should have taken stock of the public wage bill, set aside that money for the entire public in the whole Republic of Kenya for devolved functions, and then share the rest of the money in a formula so that development can be realized in the whole country uniformly.
An ultra-modern hospital worth 200 million shillings is set to be put up at Seme in Kisumu County by the United Arab Emirates, aimed at improving healthcare services in the region. Now, the project will be implemented through Dahwa, an Islamic development group in the country. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony of the 5-story facility, United Arab Emirates Deputy Ambassador to Kenya, Hassan Issa, said the project is one of UAE's projects in the country, stating that Kenya enjoys a cordial relationship with the UAE and will continue to support various development projects. Seme Member of Parliament James Nyakal asked his constituents to own the project, being the major beneficiaries of it.
Mwenyezi Mungu amewabariki kule. Na kwa vile wamebarikiwa na wao pia wameonolea ni vizuri ile neema wamepatiwa na Mwenyezi Mungu wakuje kutugawia sisi hapa kidogo kidogo tufaidike.
Kisumu Maseno University is set to introduce a course on defense strategy and national security to curb the growing insecurity in the country following the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the institution and the Royal Danish Defence College yesterday. Now, the partnership with the RDDC will see security personnel trained on modern skills to tackle the ever-changing and runaway security threats in East African region. Here now is KTN's Fredo Mulo with that report.
Under the agreement, RDDC will provide 4 lecturers, electronic equipment and books for teaching purposes, while Maseno will build a facility equipped with state-of-the-art equipment at its Kisumu City campus.
In future, this course will not only be available to Kenyans, but we can get other people coming from outside. It could be, various peacekeeping agents that can benefit from this.
Henry Lagersen, a major in the Danish army and a lecturer in RDDC, expresses hopes of seeing Kenya benefit from specialized training from the Danish institution after the recent spike in crime and insecurity incidents across the country.
We think it's very important that the security sector in Kenya is trained, whether they're police officers or military officers or private security officers. It's very important that they get good, sufficient training.
The new course comes in the wake of a terror attack last September in Nairobi's Westgate Mall that left more than 60 people dead. For KTN News Desk, I am Fredo Mulo.
From Kisumu County, we head off to the Kenya Veterinary Board, which has begun a countrywide crackdown of veterinary shops that are not following the stipulated regulations. Speaking in Nyeri Town, the Chief Inspector, Dr. Idraf Ragwa, says the veterinary facilities will be inspected so as to ensure that there's proper service delivery. The inspection team arrived in Nyeri from Nakuru, where they conducted a similar exercise. The officials of the board say it is necessary to ensure that drugs sold to farmers are according to standard. The board plans to inspect over 20 shops in Nyeri Town.
Right, let's go to the story we alluded earlier. Now, if you live in Nairobi, you are 15 times more likely to access secondary education as opposed to a Kenyan from Turkana County. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, a report released by the Society for International Development, glaring inequalities in different counties is hampering development in most counties. The report shows that 45.2% of Kenyans live below the poverty line. Turkana, Tana River and Kilifi are the poorest counties, and poverty in Turkana is at a high of 87.5% against Nairobi's 21%.
I have a problem with the way in which money is being divided to the counties, because we give them lump sum amount. We say Elgeyo Marakwet County, we've given you 3 billion. Nairobi County, we've given you 9 billion. But we don't ask ourselves, of the 3 billion that has gone to Elgeyo Marakwet County, how much of that money was meant for health, for example, was meant for water, was meant for education. So the money goes to the county, and then the county, perhaps after dividing that money, will realize that what they used to get for health before devolution is less than what they are getting, or what they are able to divide. So we might need to rethink about particularly critical areas like agriculture, water, and health.
Where is the report going? We have had a lot of, Kenyans, we are very good in policy making. If you look at the 2030 program, if you look at the strategic plan by 27 countries in 1998, when you look at what we have in paper, no place is better than Kenya. But when it comes to implementation, we are the poorest. I beg you, let's search for the truth. Let's go. Zamani Kenya, Sundays, you could go and sleep on the road. There are no cars. Today, kuna jam kubwa. Why? Because ile siku hata tulipatia kanisa tumekataa. We are now changing it. We are going to the animals orphanage. We are no. We need to have the 24-hour system divided. 8 hours.
Now, that was a damning report of how the counties are developing. Turkana is said to have an all-time high of poverty levels of up to 87.5%. Well, Nairobi's at 21, but that's not something to celebrate about either. But to help us understand all this is Katindi Sivi Njonjo from SID. Katindi, help us understand the numbers. What do you attribute these disparities to? Is it just because of the marginalization of the northern frontier? And what exactly is attributed? Why this?
All right. I think part of it is historical. The fact that we laid a foundation at independence, and that has marginalized some areas. Right. And then, of course, the economic growth hasn't been felt by all Kenyans. And so what we are saying in this report is that we need to think about, of course, economic growth to be able to end poverty, but we also need to think about redistribution so that the people who are most disadvantaged can be able to get access to, resources and enjoy the benefits of being Kenyan. So,
Katindi, in essence, the answer to unlocking this is squarely on the disbursement or the allocation the government is doing to the counties.
I think you can look at it in two ways. There's the money that's coming to counties, but counties also have their own resources. By the way, Turkana is one of the places that has one of the best resources. They've just discovered oil, and then there's, of course, a lot of water that was discovered the other day. So they have the potential to create their own wealth, and that's why county leaders are going to be very important in terms of developing their areas. And we can no longer just blame the government and say the government should sort us out. But at the same time, there's going to be money coming from the national government that is needed at the county level. So there's need to, of course, but one of the things that came out is the fact that 80% or even almost over 80% of the money is going to recurrent expenditure. So counties need to think about how they can use that money for development and not so much for the benefit of just the leaders in terms of paying salaries and remunerations. Right.
Katindi, that is squarely in the legislative agenda, but in terms of specifics, what can governors do to ensure that these kind of disparities are met? Other than government allocation, other than increasing what they're getting, other than the historical injustices, going forward, in specifics, what can they do to reduce the poverty levels?
All right. Every county is different. Let me talk about Turkana, for example. One of the things that we see in Turkana from the data is just very low levels of education. So they need to prioritize the places where they're not doing well. So education will be a perfect example. Access to water would be prioritized in Narok, or things like, incomes also in Turkana should be prioritized. So different places need very specific policy engagement or policy prescriptions, or in a sense prioritizing different things that would make them be able to benefit the communities a bit more.
All right, Katindi CV, let's leave it there. Thank you for unpackaging those numbers, but we do know the gap is glaring. 87%, that is the poverty level in Turkana County. It is also touted to be one of the richest counties, so really the ball is squarely on the governor's court. Right, if you know how we're doing, Nairobi is not too bad, 21%.
Well, it's not great either. If you think about it, that's a lot of people. 21% of what, 4 million people? Yeah, living in poverty, and that's... it would be interesting to see how they got to that conclusion.
And also
what exactly defines poverty,
you know,
right?
You stand 15 times more a chance to get education, secondary education in Nairobi than in Turkana in the same country. That's sad.
Well, further details of this story will be coming in our subsequent bulletins, so do stay tuned. Right now, though, we take a short commercial break, and when we come back, something could be in the pipelines, literally, following the president's trip to Kuwait. That's in the business.
All right, and also daily dose of facts you don't need to know on the Did You Know Fact coming up.
Welcome back to KTN News Desk. We're glad you're still watching.
Great, let's go to business now. And following the president's recent trip to Kuwait for the Arab-African talks, the government is soon going to procure oil directly from 2 Arab countries. Now, according to the Energy Regulatory Commission, the state is to enter into a government-to-government pact with Kuwait and Qatar to source for cheaper fuel to be used in power generation in the country. This comes as Kenya steps up efforts to generate an additional 5,000 megawatts of power to boost power consumption in the household and consumer levels. Now, the fuel will be used in the yet-to-be-established coal and liquefied natural gas power plants that, once complete, could add as much as 3,000 megawatts of electricity. By procuring electricity directly from 2 governments, Kenya will be cushioning itself from the erratic global oil prices that have in the past had a significant impact in operating costs. Matters TV now in MultiChoice. Kenya is positioning itself to reap from the long-awaited digital migration slated to kick off on December 13th. The firm has launched its next-generation decoder as it seeks to give viewers more control over their viewing experience, dubbed the DSTV Explorer. Now, the decoder allows viewers to save up to 220 hours of personal content, view one program while recording another, pause live TV for up to 2 hours, and even personalize individual user themes.
The Explorer PVR does is basically enable you to actually manage your own viewing experience. Instead of you running home to actually watch your linear channel, this Explorer stores enough for you to actually be able to watch your content, be it series, news, sports, anything you actually would like at your convenience.
Well, it's time to wind up this edition of KTN News Desk.
Right.
It's also time to give you your Did You Know Fact of the day. And just in relation to what we were talking about with the report, poverty and what it does to people. Well, did you know that according to a Princeton study, more money makes people happier? You'd think this is obvious, right? But this is only true if they earn up to $75,000 a year.
Right.
So about 6 million Kenya shillings a year, about 50,000 Kenya shillings a month. So that would generally make you happy. However, they say that after this point, if you earn more than this, then an increase in pay does not necessarily relate to an increase in happiness.
Because of taxes?
That's a good
Wishes
point.
that you have bigger, larger tax bracket.
I don't know. I would be very curious to see this report and see what they say.
Right.
But more money.
So if you earn 50K, that's your cut to be happy.
That's your cut to be happy. So more money, more happiness, but until a certain point.
Right. There's more money, more happiness. I thought it was more money, more problems.
More money, more.
That's
Maybe
a song.
that's why. That's a song. Well, that's where we wind up this edition of KTN News Desk. We're glad you joined us. My name is Edith Kimani. Have a good afternoon.
My name is Boni Tunya. We'll see you again tomorrow. But remember, the website you need to be reading is standardmedia.co.ke.